my spooky friends, and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. We have Max behind me. Try and shimmy him a little bit away. I am so happy to see you today, as today I have another true crime ASMR video for you to enjoy. Today I will be going back and forth with soft speaking and whispering. Today we will be diving in to the case of John Amerault. John Amerault was murdered after the husband of Brittany Barron found out the two were texting. Armando forced Brittany to behead John Amerault. After Armando forced her to drive John's body 200 miles away to a remote campsite. So, really quickly, please advise that today's video contains content that may be triggering for some viewers. As such, viewer discretion is advised. I will be adding this case to my true crime ASMR series playlist, and this is where you can find past and future videos in this series. So let's get into it. Armando Barron, who was 32, and his wife, Brittany Barron, 33, were teens when they got married and had 3 children. But their relationship was troubled, and she wanted a divorce. While divorce was on her mind, Brittany Barron would be working with John Amerault. The two became friends and started texting. Armando found messages between his wife and Amerault on September 19th, 2020. This led him to falsely suspect an affair between the two. Throughout that night, Armando Barron beat his wife before using her phone to lure the unsuspecting victim, Amerault, to a Ridge, New Hampshire park just north of the Massachusetts state border. There, Armando ordered Brittany to cut Amerault's wrists and stand on his neck as Armando viciously beat him. Armando then placed a gun in his wife's hand, but she refused to shoot her friend. This is all according to her testimony. Amerault was shot in the chest and head before the Barrons took separate cars. Brittany Barron with Amerault's dead body in her car, and Armando Barron in the couple's vehicle behind her. They were to drive 200 miles north to Amerault, New Hampshire. They arrived at a campsite where Armando forced his wife to remove John's head with a saw in an apparent attempt to make it harder for authorities to identify John's body. Armando then left his wife with the victim's body for several days, instructing her to bury him separate from his head. This was until Fish and Wildlife officers discovered Brittany Barron and the victim. Armando Barron would be arrested on September 25th, 2020, and charged with capital murder for knowingly causing the death of Jonathan Amerault by shooting him and engaged in the commission of a kidnapping. His wife, Brittany, was also taken into custody on charges of falsifying physical evidence. And I will be including pictures. This woman was beat up. Like, there is no denying that this man beat the crap out of her. She is covered in bruises. I will make sure to include those pictures if you have not seen them already in this video. In April 2021, the New Hampshire Attorney General's office indicted Armando for capital murder, criminal solicitation of murder, kidnapping, 2 counts of solicitation of assault, and assault related to Amerault's death. He was also charged with domestic violence, reckless conduct, and assault for striking his wife, breaking her nose, and using other types of physical force. Brittany was indicted at the same time for the falsifying evidence charges. Armando's defense attorneys argued Brittany killed Amerault and not Armando. His defense attorney, Meredith Lugo, said during her closing statement, "Her claims are like something out of a TV movie, not real life. They are sensationalized to make Armando seem like a monster and her seem like a tragic victim." Lugo added, "The only person Brittany ever tried to save was herself, and what she was trying to save herself from wasn't Armando, it was prison." In May 2022, a jury found Barron guilty of killing Jonathan Amerault, 25, and ordering his wife, Brittany, to help dispose of his body. The verdict came less than 2 hours after the jury began deliberating Thursday. The jury found Armando Barron guilty of all 13 charges he faced, including first-degree murder and kidnapping. He was sentenced to a total of 45 to 135 additional years on the remaining charges. He will serve the sentences consecutively. Brittany pleaded guilty to the charges against her and was released on parole. Brittany has admitted to removing Amerault's head from his corpse and attempting to hide his remains, but said it was on her husband's orders. According to testimony she provided during her sentence hearing, she accepted a plea agreement in September in which she pleaded guilty in Grafton County Superior Court to 3 counts of falsifying evidence in exchange for a sentence of 3.5 to 7 years in state prison, with 2 years suspended on the condition of continued good behavior. 2 counts of abusing a corpse, a misdemeanor, were dropped under the agreement with prosecutors. With the suspended sentence and a little more than a year of pretrial confinement credit from her time behind bars before her sentencing, Brittany was eligible for parole this spring. According to an affidavit written by State Police Sergeant Stephen Sloper, she told police after her arrest in 2020 that her husband used her cell phone to lure Amerault to the park after discovering their text messages. She told Armando she wanted a divorce, and she and Amerault were in the early stages of forming a romantic relationship. At her sentencing in October, Brittany described feeling shame and disgust for her involvement, but did not try to defend her actions. Doing so, she said, would be an insult to Amerault's family. "I'm sorry for every single thing I've done to Jonathan," she said. "I understand that my words are meaningless and do nothing to bring back your incredible son. The only way that I can think of to try to show you that I'm really sincerely sorry is to accept full responsibility for my actions." But in a victim impact statement read at the sentencing hearing, Amerault's mother, Justine, called Brittany Barron's actions abhorrent, savage, evil, egregiously selfish, callous, and self-serving. She described the pain her family endured between the time they realized John was missing and when authorities confirmed they'd found his body. Justine reflected on the milestones her son will never get to experience and the potential he will never get to realize. She said his death was a devastating loss. Jonathan had the world in the palm of his hand, she said at the time. She snatched it from him, from his father, from me, and from the rest of Jonathan's extended family. According to WMUR, Amerault's parents also opposed Brittany's parole in a written letter that was read by the victim's advocate and urged the parole board to keep her in custody has previously argued she was also a victim in this case. In January of last year, attorney Richard Guerrero, argued that she should be released on bail and granted home confinement, saying she acted as she did only to avoid further harm from her husband. The prosecution, on the other hand, said she had multiple opportunities to seek help and try to get away from her husband, such as when they took separate cars to drive north. A Coos County Superior Court judge denied Brittany Barron's request for bail at the time. She has been incarcerated since late September 2020 after Amerault's body was discovered. Her husband, who Brittany Barron said had returned to Jaffrey without her, was arrested shortly after. As conditions of her parole, Brittany Barron must also engage in mental health treatment immediately upon release, be compliant with prescribed medication, and have no contact with Amerault's family. She also must comply with GPS monitoring for 90 days and afterward at the parole's officer's discretion. So, that is today's case. Now for my thoughts. I think it is insulting to John's family for her to have ever considered bail. I also think she stated that before John died, she was given the gun. Why didn't you shoot your husband? That would have been my first thing. And John's family's anger, I fully understand. And I hope Brittany understands it too. I just think it's so insulting for her to have even asked for bail. Yes, you have kids, but someone died in the worst way. He was beaten, tortured. Imagine the fear Jonathan felt. John Amerault, I think, he was young and looking for love, and Brittany had no business bringing him into this mess. When women are in these situations, I understand wanting to search for love, but you're pulling people into this mess that you need to bring yourself out of. And I just think better decisions should have been made. And maybe that's a hot take, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I feel bad that she was in such a terrible situation with Armando, but this is just sad, and I feel so bad for John's family. Justine's anger is warranted, but some things, there must have been something between John and Brittany, and it's sad that they weren't able to have that happy ending if it was possible. So, that is today's video. I have a lot of new scripts and true crime videos coming. I have this week, we will be doing, I'm debating on which one I want to do. I have written a couple. I have either Jack the Ripper or the Toy Box Killer. that will be coming out this week. I'm debating on the two, so if you have made it this far, let me know which one you would like. There's new stuff coming out about Jack the Ripper. It is in that video that I'm going to be uploading, but very interesting takes, very interesting new information on this case. And the other night, my boyfriend and I were watching a documentary on the midnight production. And if you aren't aware of what this is, it is an alleged, but I don't know if you can say alleged with how many witnesses and testimonies of people, but it is an alleged underground group that is made up of elites, people who are involved in the government, involved in the police department, etc., who are kidnapping homeless people and committing savage, heinous crimes against them. It is taking place in Arizona, in Phoenix, and a lot of homeless people are going missing. A lot of them are stating they are being raped, drugged, and one woman states that she had electric therapy done on her. It's a very interesting topic that just keeps seemingly being swept under the rug. And while watching this documentary, they had linked the Midnight Productions to David Parker Ray, who is the Toy Box Killer. And even his death count and how many crimes he was really affiliated with, we aren't entirely sure. But he was linked in helping them with child sex trafficking. So, by doing that, I went and did a script on him. I would like to do a video on the Midnight Productions, but I'm just not sure, because it's all by testimony and witnesses, and there's just a lot going on there. And that one will take me quite some time to compile good, solid evidence. The documentary is on YouTube. It is literally 4.5 hours long, and it is worth every second. So, highly suggest that. So, that is today's video. This week I will be uploading a book wrap-up for January, and we'll be diving into some books. I'll be doing some hot takes on Onyx Storm. Do not come for me. And just diving into some books, as that has brought me a lot of joy, and it's just been a good time for me. So, I am so happy that you are here today. Thank you so much to all of you who take the time to hang out with me, listen to these videos, and relax with me. If you have any recommendations for future videos, let me know in the comments below, and I will add them to the schedule. I'm getting down to the wire of all these recommendations, and in the future I would like to do a little bit of tweaking with the schedule, I think, but that is up for debate. But any recommendations, let me know in the comments below. I do every single one. Every single one. Not a single one of you is ever forgotten or overlooked by me. And even if I do not do it right away, I will do it. My poor friend Lori Yvette, she had recommended something so long ago, and I try to comb through my comments periodically just to make sure I hit everybody, I had missed hers. I felt so bad. But we did it. So, if you think I've left you behind, give me a little reminder and we'll hop right to it.